All right, so this is a follow along project to help us uh, make nice movie posters for our next project. So first thing I want you to do is go to File and Open, and you should have already extracted your files, the movie poster file that comes with that's on Canvas. So extract it, and then you're gonna open poster example file.psd. So you click Open, right, and it gives us this. I'm gonna reset my workspace because I was doing something else. So reset essentials. You can always close these tabs on the side here to get more space. So I'm going to close the Learn tab and the Libraries tab because we don't really use those in our class, but they can be useful. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to check the image size of this. So we're going to go up to the top here, Image, go down to Image Size, and we're going to make sure that it's at 6.5 by 10 and the resolution is 300. Everything's correct, so we're going to click OK. Next thing we're going to do is create a new layer. So we go down to our layers palette and we're going to create a new layer. So I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to fill this layer with black. So I'm going to hit my D key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to make sure that these change to default. So I know that they changed. I want black in the foreground color and white in the background color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Alt Backspace to fill my background with black. Oops. All right, so Alt Backspace. On an Apple, it's Option Delete. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top of my screen where it says Layer. I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to say Background from Layer. And what we're doing is we're saying we wanted to change that original layer that we just created, that layer 1, and we want to make it into the background layer and lock it. So I'm going to click background layer, and now it moves it underneath all the way to the bottom and it locks it as the background. All right. If you weren't able to make it black, most likely you had your colors backwards. So you can just flip those colors again and then make sure that black is on the top and white is on the bottom, and then fill that in again. Next thing we're going to do after you get the background and put it in place, let's go down and find a font. So I'm going to click on my text tool and I'm going to drag out I'm going to change my color first. So I want my color to be white. So everybody make sure that your color is white. And now I'm going to drag out a text box. So I have these nice guides on. So as you can see the pink lines on the screen, those guides allow me to stay within a good margin on my poster. So I have my box and I'm going to try to find my font, Chiller or Green Fuzz. I think I liked. So I'm looking for the font Green Fuzz. So it should be down here, Green Fuzz. And if you don't have Green Fuzz, you can use Chiller, which is a equally nice font for scary movie posters. And what I want to do is I want to change my font size to 130 point. All right, and I want to keep it at about 2 words. So I want my title to be 2 words. On your posters that you do, your personal posters, you can change it to other words, but this is just to get you the idea of how to do it. So I'm going to say movie monster poster. And mine's still a little bit large. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the options bar. I'm going to click on the TT and I'm going to drag it down until I get my words on the screen. Monster poster. All right. I'm going to center my text. And now I'm going to go in and adjust things. So let's say these letters are a little bit too close together. I'm going to hold down my Alt key and my arrows and just add a little space. So I'm just holding my Alt key and then I'm hitting my right arrow or my left arrow to kind of make it all look a little bit nicer. And I think that looks pretty good. So I was just adding some space between my letters, which is called kerning. All right, so I want a nice little gap, and that's it. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of my text box and I'm going to go up to my tool panel and hit my move tool. Normally I would tell you to hit the V key, but because we're in a text box, we can't hit V because it would automatically just put a V in our text box. So we click on that, and I'm actually go back again. I'm going to select this. before I do that, and I'm gonna click on my character panel right here. It's in my options bar. It's a little folder, and I'm gonna adjust my leading. So I want to bring poster closer to monster. So I'm just dragging to the left with my mouse on top of the A over A, and that adjusts my leading. Click check mark at the top, and then I'll go back to my move tool. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to center this on the page to the best of my ability. So I'm going to hit Control A, right? And then with my move tool selected, I can go up to the top of my options bar, and I have some things. I have align horizontal centers and align vertical centers. So for this one, I would just want to align my horizontal centers because I don't want to put it down. If I click the vertical, it'll drop it down to the middle of the page. So just align my horizontal centers, and now I know that that's centered on my page. So I'm going to deselect, Command D, right? And now I'm going to go to my move tool, select my move tool, and I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to go down to warp text. All right. So with my warp text option, I have a bunch of different styles here. I'm going to look for the one that says rise, and I'm going to change my bend to 10% just to give it a little spooky rise. So again, if I need to center this again, I just select Control A, go to my move tool, click in the middle, and center it. Mine's still centered nicely, so I don't have to do that. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to, I'm going to deselect, Control D, right? And then I'm going to go hit D on my keyboard, and that gives me my default black in the foreground color, white in the background color. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to start adding some layer effects to my design. So with my layer selected, let me move my layers panel up so you can see it a little bit better. With my text layer selected, I'm going to go down to FX, and I'm going to find my gradient overlay. I'm going to go to gradient overlay, and I want to make sure that my blend mode is normal, my angle is 90 degrees, my opacity is at 100%. And then what I'm going to do is and you can see on my screen how it looks. It's a little bit dark. So I'm going to click on my gradient bar. I'm just going to click right in the center, and it gives me this. All right. So first thing that I want to do is I want to find the right stop. So this is called a stop, this little arrow with the box under it, with the color box. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to set that to 50%, 80%. All right. So I'll put that at 80%. And now I'm going to find my left stop. So I'm going to click on my left stop, click on that. And for this one, we're not going to change the location of it, but what we are going to do is change the color. So I'm going to come down to the bottom and click on the color, and I'm going to change the color to brightness of 50. And then I'm going to leave the saturation and the hue at 0. All right. And then I'm going to click OK. So that lightened up my my overlay a little bit. And I'm just going to click OK on this one as well. All right, I'm not going to leave my layer style box though. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the left side and find my bevel and emboss. All right, it gives me a really nice bevel right there already. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my bevel so that I have a bevel and inner bevel. And I'm going to change my chisel to hard, my direction to up, my size to 10, my depth, let's go back to 100%, my shadow and opacity, where's my opacity? Let's put that at 100%. Actually, let's put that at 0%, 0. And I think that's it, soften. So you can leave the soften at whatever you like. Let me see maybe not. Let's keep it at like 8, 7, 8. It looks pretty good. And then next thing I want to do is on the left hand side, I want to make sure I click the contour box. All right, so that adds a little bit. So I have my highlight mode, my shadow. All right, looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to click OK now. So I've left my dialog box, and you can see the